Good morning and a warm welcome to all of you who have joined in. Let's start today's session with a prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Prameya Health welcomes you all for today's session on cancer prevention foods. I am Sneha, a consultant physiotherapist at Prameya Health. I would like to welcome all the participants for being here with us for the session. I also welcome today's expert and the entire Prameya team. So before we begin, here's a short description about us. Prameya Health is a preventive and supportive care set up operational since the last 4 years. We at Prameya are driven to build healthy communities around us, and we continually work towards this mission. Sahay Fens is the flagship cancer support program run by Prameya Health, and it is designed to address the unmet needs, supportive care needs of women diagnosed with cancer. The supportive care for cancer are approached in a holistic manner, covering functional, emotional, nutritional, and spiritual, that is the FENS domains. Our cancer patients receive restorative yoga classes, psycho-oncology sessions, cancer nutrition, lymphedema care, dance, art therapy, and other mind-body creative connect therapies to help them during and after treatment. There have been over 40 editions of Sahay FENS program, which has helped Prameya to reach over 450 women with various cancer and in different stages of treatment and beyond. Prameya Health brings you a series of programs with respect to nutrition and cancer, beginning with prevention, through the journey and post-treatment. So today we have put together some discussion points which are constantly debated. The idea is to start a thought process. Also, it is important to note that in this program, we have compiled the current research and conclusive evidences pertaining to today's age and environment. We all know that the technological advances in the field of medicine, concepts regarded right many years ago, may not be the same today. So with such programs, we believe that we can help you make the right choices. As the session proceeds, I request all of you to place your mics on mute and turn off your cameras. So you can also use the chat forum to post the questions that you have. We will be answering them at the end of the segment. So let's start. I would like to formally introduce the speaker for the session, Ms. Krupa Prashanth. She's a certified cancer nutritionist with over 9 years of experience. She's now an active consultant nutritionist at Prameya Health. She's also in charge of the Sahay programs at Prameya. So let's start. I would like to call upon the speaker, Ms. Krupa.
Thank you, Sneha, for the introduction. Today, we will be talking about role of nutrition in cancer prevention. Like Sneha said, we would be doing segments on nutrition with respect to cancer, starting from prevention. So this is our first segment. And in today's segment, we will understand why food should be our medicine and how prevention is better than cure. So let's understand why food should be our medicine, like Socrates said. Health and diet definitely, are linked, and especially in the scenario of cancer prevention, the nutrition plays an important role. The role of diet, nutrition, and especially maintaining healthy weight is very critical in prevention and management of cancer. Now, the burden of the disease can actually come down drastically if we are able to make certain lifestyle changes, modifications, and tweak our food habits to better ones. Since prevention is not prioritized currently in the healthcare system, it is important that we fend for ourselves. As today's agenda, we will be trying to unravel certain common misconceptions. We are going to talk about sugar, soy, organic or conventional, supplements, whether to take them or not. We'll be talking about red meat and what is the best diet for cancer prevention. Is there one? So let's start. The first discussion point is about sugar. Now, the first point all of us should understand is that all cells, be it healthy or cancerous, they use glucose for energy, but they also use other nutritional components. The concept that sugar causes or feeds cancer is complicated. Let's try and understand this mechanism in today's session. Now, what happens when there is so much of confusion, and as sugar is rightly linked or associated to carbohydrates, there is even more confusion when your friends and WhatsApp messages tell you to go off sugar completely to avoid or prevent or get better from cancer. So when that is the scenario, you tend to eat a restricted diet or you tend to skip an entire food group. So what happens to your quality of life? That's something we should look at. And also further about sugar, sugar actually occurs in a lot of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, dairy, along with other vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytochemicals. So can you eat only these vitamins, minerals, antioxidants without eating the sugar? You cannot. So what is it that you can do? It's important that you limit the added sugar and focus on other sources of complex carbohydrates. And also, their sugar comes with empty calories, meaning that sugar does not give you any kind of other nutrients other than calories. By promoting obesity and elevated insulin levels, sugar can actually indirectly may contribute to cancer. Now in this picture, let's try to understand two mechanisms. One is insulin resistance, that is the buzzword of today, and metabolic syndrome. Now in insulin resistance, what happens is you are looking at two cases. One is a normal human being, the other one has insulin resistance. In a normal human being, the bloodstream has glucose. The insulin is able to draw this glucose and give it to the blood cells in a normal individual. What happens when you have insulin resistance? There's a lot of glucose present in your bloodstream, which spikes your sugar, and insulin is not being formed in proper quantities because there is a imbalance and the body cells are not getting the glucose molecules. So this is called insulin resistance. Now this, and also second mechanism called metabolic syndrome, wherein you have visceral obesity, the fat around your abdomen, insulin resistance, what I just explained, your hypertension, high triglyceride levels, all this could add to a condition called metabolic syndrome. Now these two together can actually pose you for obesity risks and thereby increasing the cancer risk too. This is why there is a buzz about how sugar should be avoided, or why should sugar or empty calories should be avoided in the prevention of cancer. So how can a smart food choice help you? In an obese individual, if you look at his blood values, there is high fasting insulin, there is adiposity, there is high hormone levels of glucose insulin dysregulation is present. In a lean individual, there is low fasting insulin, low adiposity, and stable glucose insulin response. In an obese individual, because of all these high levels, there is a proliferative microenvironment which is created in his body, which might give rise to cancer. But in the lean individual, this risk is cut. Therefore, diet and moderate physical activity interventions can actually go a long way in prevention of cancer. Now, we should be able to understand where these added sugars are coming from. Like I told you, a portion of yogurt which can be healthy, if you look at the picture, this picture which is a yogurt or a portion of yogurt is coming with almost 9 grams of added sugar. Now, do you call this healthy or unhealthy? The added sugars can come in many faces and names. Sucrose, honey, jaggery, corn syrup, glucose, fructose, maltose, all these are different names of sugars. And if you are trying to avoid any kind of added sugar, then you better look at the nutrition labeling. If any of these in the list is present, then you're definitely consuming added sugars. So you should be looking more at complex carbohydrates is what I discussed in my last slides. What is complex carbohydrates? You can imagine whole grains in simple terms. The whole grains come with outer bran, the germ and the endosperm. For example, ragi, jowar, brown rice, all these are whole grains. Fiber is present in the whole grains, and they also come with a lot of protective substances. Antioxidant called vitamin E is present, and they also increase or improve your gut microbiome and keep your gut healthy. Now, there are actually studies to prove that the high grain intake can reduce cancers by at least 34%. And there was a definite reduction in the risk of colorectal, gastric, endometrial, breast, and prostate cancer. What more do you want? Our second discussion point is about soy. Now, there is a myth saying that eating soy foods can actually raise your risk for breast cancer. Let's see if it is true. Soy is basically a plant protein full of fiber, magnesium, potassium, and other vitamins. Common soy-based whole foods are tofu and soy milk. And they also come with many essential amino acids, which play a very important role in many of the body's functions. The confusion about soy is basically because of the compounds called isoflavones. Now, these isoflavones actually mimic the effect of estrogen in the body. They're not estrogens themselves, but they only kind of mimic the action of estrogen. But it's important to understand that soy is also coming with anti-estrogen properties. So a diet high in soy or moderate soy diet need not be looked at as a risk or a threat to develop cancer. So what is moderate consumption of soy? It could be 1 cup of fresh soybeans. It could be, 50 grams of tofu, which can go into your salads, or you could be having a glass of soy milk itself. All these are whole soy foods and are completely safe to be consumed. And it's better if we stick to the moderate consumption because soy is a new entrant into our food market. And also soy is not something we've been eating since a long time. It is better to see and try out soy at lower quantities and look at how each system or each of us react to soy and then start using. And according to American Cancer Society, soy might actually reduce the risk of colorectal and prostate cancer risk. So a healthy balanced diet can include soy. The third discussion point for today is going organic way or staying conventional. Organic, the first point you have to understand here does not necessarily mean that they are healthier or nutritionally superior. A 2012 Stanford study has published enough literature which supports that organic, although reduces the exposure of chemicals, it need not be higher in nutritional content. And definitely the availability or the authenticity today in Indian markets of organic food is also questionable. Affordability, definitely it is expensive because of various reasons. So what do you mean when I say it's fruits and or vegetables and grains are organic? There are some at least 5 to 6 criterion which needs to be fulfilled before they are labeled organic. There should not be any synthetic fertilizers. The seed should not be irradiated. No pesticide should be present, and no genetic modification can be done. And in meat and poultry, which is a daily food ingredient, uh, the meat and the poultry should have access to outdoors. They should not be irradiated to get more meat, and no growth hormones can be injected. And also, these animals should be fed with organic, 100% organic feed. Let's come to the third category, which is milk. So the cows which give out the organic milk have to be grass fed, and at least for about last 3 years they should be feeding on 100% organic feed, and they should not have been injected with any growth hormones. But at Prameya, we say organic can be easy, and you can actually grow some of your vegetables and greens on your own windowsill. Let's see how we can do that. It's an engaging video of about 2 minutes wherein the tips and the tricks of growing these greens on your windowsill is displayed. So in India, how do you buy organic? Now you can actually look at two labels. One is Jaivik Bharat, which is identified, recognized by FSSAI. The other one is India Organic, which is recognized by APEDA. Currently, these are the only two labels available to authenticate that whatever you have bought from the store is organic. If one of these is present, it is definitely an organic produce. So, organic plant-based foods can offer extra protection against cancer, remains a myth, whereas the fact is eating mostly the plant-based food cuts down a lot of cancer risk. Now, the fourth discussion point is about red meat. To understand red meat better, you can think about beef, pork, and lamb. These are the three categories of red meat. And the latest research shows that meat or consuming meat more than twice a week will pose you for developing certain cancers. Colorectal cancer, in terms of consumption of red meat, has been extensively studied, and it is proven to have a very evident association between the consumption of red and processed meat and development of colorectal cancer. Now, what is the risk factor in red meat? Why should you be careful? Let's understand that. Whenever you heat or process or cook any meat, poultry, or fish in very high temperatures, there are something called heterocyclic amines or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons which are released in the food. And these substances are thought to damage the DNA inside the human body and make cancers more likely. That's why eating a lot of red meat and processed meat is linked to development of colorectal cancer. Now, even processed meat, with the advent of McD's and Subways, even children are being exposed to an environment where they are consuming processed meat. So it is better to use discretion before we encourage such food habits when you are bringing up kids. The fifth point is about antioxidant. Now, if you look at the picture, there is the free radical damage which are happening through pollution, radiation, fried and burnt food, sunlight, combustion, etc. to our bodies. So, how do we protect ourselves from these? We protect ourselves from these with bullets known as antioxidants. Vitamin A, D, E, C are all very extensively studied, and they are proven to have definite protective effects against free radical damage. Now there's a little table which explains about lifestyle factor, how each one of these has brought down or increased the risk of breast, prostate and colorectal cancer. Obesity has shown positive association in increasing the risk of breast, prostate and colorectal. High fiber diet, definitely, there is a positive association, meaning it brings down the risk of breast cancer, prostate and colorectal cancers. Fruit rich diets, especially citrus fruits, are also positively linked. So fruit rich diets, high fiber diets, including green tea in your daily diets, plant based diets are all studied and proven to have lowered or reduced the risk of development of three major cancers which are highly prevalent. So what should you be including when I say eat a lot of antioxidants? Look at vitamin A, C, E, D. When I say A, you can imagine yellow and deeply colored orange vegetables. The C vitamin comes from citrus fruits, peppers, spinach, etc. Vitamin E is present in many oils, seeds, and almonds. Vitamin D comes from fish oils, fortified products, and minerals, especially copper, iron, magnesium, zinc, are also important. We have been talking about how one should eat, 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. How did we arrive at that 5 to 6 servings? What is the basis? There is something called an ORAC value, which is oxygen radical absorbance capacity. Now, each food comes with ORAC value. The higher the ORAC value, higher is the antioxidant capacity of that particular food. And we need about 3,500 ORAC value per day. So this 3,500 ORAC value is converted or translated into 5 to 6 servings of fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay, so with so much of knowledge on antioxidants, is it not easy to just pop a pill which is loaded with antioxidant capacity? Is it recommended? It's actually a no, because using antioxidants as pills or taking them as tablets or supplements uh, without recommendation is not considered to be protective against or during the cancer treatment. Always please check with your oncologist before you take any kind of supplementation, and especially during radiation and chemotherapy, no supplementation or antioxidant tablet is recommended. So the big question in the room is there a diet to prevent cancer? And do you think it's a Mediterranean diet? Why a Mediterranean diet? If you look at Mediterranean diet, it majorly is comprising of fruits and vegetables, cereals, olive oil, which is omega-3, and legumes and nuts, milk, meat, fish, very good sources of proteins, and only 3% is coming from sugars and beverages. So could this be the Mediterranean diet could be cancer protective, or is it the only diet? Let's see now. A South Indian vegetarian diet actually comes very close to a cancer protective or preventive diet. There are some 13 ingredients which go into our daily food preparation, out of which 6 have been studied very, very extensively. Because these spices and herbs go into our sambar and rasam mixes, they are found to be very protective against cancer. So, what does Prameya recommend as cancer prevention? Let's go stepwise. What can we do in our everyday life to prevent cancer? Let's start with sourcing. Whenever you're buying food, please buy fresh. It's better if you grow your own microgreens and opt for organic if you can. And locally grown foods should be emphasized because they come with a lot of benefits. Now, the preparation is the second step. Steaming and pressure cooking is the best method of cooking because they keep a lot of nutrients and they don't allow the nutrient losses during processing of food. Do not overcook anything and do not cook at very high temperatures. Here it's important to bring up cooking meat in microwave ovens at a very high temperature, like I discussed. It forms heterocyclic amines which are linked to development of colorectal cancer. Microwave as a medium of reheating is fine, but cooking, especially meat in a microwave, which rises the temperature to 400 to 500 degrees, is not recommended. You should be aiming at consuming a lot of colors and probiotics which are easily available as curds and buttermilk. Please use turmeric, ginger, and other spices and herbs in your daily cooking. There should be a good amount of fresh fruits and vegetables on your plate to get all your antioxidants. And please add a dash of good sources of fat in the form of flax seeds, almonds, etc. If you look at this slide, you can see a roadmap to cancer prevention. Now, this is not only about food. This is about several other lifestyle modifications which you can make and prevent cancer. The first one is to eat a plant-based diet and limit the consumption of added sugars. We have talked about that. Limit consumption of alcohol and clearly do not smoke. Avoid or limit consumption of red meat and processed meat. Maintaining a healthy BMI through physical activity, at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. Manage your stress. Do not take supplements unless it is extremely necessary. And breastfeed your baby if you can. So these are the recommendations which also come from AICR, that is American Institute of Cancer Research. Let's see what we can do as a family. I would like to show you another video how sitting, eating, and cooking as a family benefits in cancer prevention. So, we would like to conclude the session by emphasizing on our recommendations again. Eat a plant-based food or plant-based diet. Add in some seeds, flax, sesame, or all sunflower. All these come with very good amounts of omega-3 fatty acids. Probiotics to keep your gut healthy. Healthy fats, choose your oils wisely, and fats are present in nuts also, so you should be able to get your good fats through some of the nuts. And variety and moderation is the key when it comes to balancing a meal. And portion control, like our Subhashitas say, Ati Sarvatra Varjayet, which means moderation should be the key or the critical point whenever you're consuming food. We would like to end this session with a shloka from Bhagavad Gita. Ayuh sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhanah rasyah snigdhah sthira hridya ahara satvika priyaha. Persons who are in the mode of goodness always prefer foods that promote health, lifespan, increase the virtue. And how should that food be? It should be juicy, succulent, nourishing, healthy, and naturally tasteful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Krupa, for this wonderful session. So let's move on to the question and answer segment of today's session. The first question for today is Jaggery better than sugar? Can we or should we replace white sugar and brown sugar with Jaggery? This seems to be a popular question. Ms. Krupa Prashanth, three of them have
Uh,
asked. What would you say?
okay, so like I discussed about added sugar, honey, jaggery, sugar, white sugar, brown sugar, they are all glucose, sucrose in several forms, in several combinations of glucose and sucrose and other sugar molecules together. So, whatever form you take them in, the body treats it as sugar. The glycemic index of these jaggery, honey, glucose, the brown sugar, all that is almost similar. So, the body will still treat it as sugar. If you want to replace jaggery for sugar, uh, and if you're trying to go off sugar completely, then there is no point, because you are still consuming the same amount of calories. Sugar spikes are similar to that of sugar, and of course you are getting your sweetness part of it. Other than that, that jaggery, which is manufactured, if in the right way, can come with some amount of nutrients in it. There is no big difference between white sugar, brown sugar, and jaggery. So please use discretion before you switch to completely to jaggery or honey. And please also watch that moderation is the key. Whether it is white sugar, brown sugar, or jaggery, there has to be, minimum required amounts. That is better.
Thank you. So let's move on to the next question. Ms. Tanuja asks, kindly explain the role about colored rice variety in cancer prevention.
Like I said, the whole cereals category includes brown rice in it, because it has got endosperm, bran, and germ. So brown rice is recommended when we say whole cereals. The other unpolished white rice, they do not come under whole cereals. So if you're trying to include more fiber, eat a plant-based diet, and do some portion control, fill up your plate with complex carbohydrates, brown rice is definitely an option. The red rice can also be consumed. Wheat dalia can be consumed. So these are the unpolished, unrefined cereals which come with a lot of fiber. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Krupa, again. Uh, let's move on to the next question. Ms. Kavita asks, is raw food and vegetables, raw fruits and vegetable, is it good to consume?
I would like to understand if your patient is undergoing chemotherapy or radiotherapy. The common recommendation for chemo and radio patients who are undergoing treatment is that you could do away with these things, because when you're not cooking a food, you're not entirely getting rid of the bacteria which can cause infections. So, if you have a patient whom you're taking care of who is undergoing chemo and radiotherapy, it is best to avoid raw foods for a while unless you check with your oncologist. But as soon as the treatment is over, the patient is able to eat, the chemotherapy sessions and the radiotherapy sessions are completed, then there is no harm in consuming fresh fruits and vegetables. Make sure that you have cleaned it up thoroughly, and there should not be any compromise when it comes to the cleaning of fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next question. Ms. Kavita Miss Ramya Rashmi, sorry, she asks how much portions of fruits and or juice is good in daily, how much is it good to have at daily basis, and will more fruits cause an issue?
Uh, no, Ms. Rashmi. According to me, like we said, we have said 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables, which includes vegetables. So if you're only talking about fruits, then yeah. Um, when I say, 5 to 6 servings, now the serving sizes are different for different fruits. I would like to probably, send you across a list what it means to eat one serving of a mango and what is a serving size of one banana. And that list would come handy for you. That is number one. And juicing is an option when the patient is not able to consume or chew the food. So if you say, if you have a patient who is hardly eating anything, does not eat at all, or finding it very difficult to consume food, then juicing is an option. But make sure, the raw fruit juice, because you are giving, it's even more important that you wash your utensils, blenders, spoons, everything thoroughly, because the contamination is a major risk factor. That's what we are trying to avoid for a patient who is undergoing chemo and radiotherapy.
Okay. So Rashmi has two more questions actually. Uh, Eating all the fruits together, in a mix, is that an issue? She asks.
It's a very subjective question, Rashmi, because see, no two fruits are alike, no two vegetables are made alike. So they are all different when it comes to the amount of sugars present, the amount of the kind of fiber present. So there is no harm actually nutritionally when you ask me. There's no harm in combining 3 to 4 fruits or kinds of fruits in a meal or in a bowl. It can actually make a nice snack and give you variety. And if somebody is not feeling up to a meal, or is not hungry enough to eat a meal, then yeah, a fruit salad or a fruit chaat will come in very helpful. So yeah, combining fruits and different kinds of fruits is not a problem. You can actually do that.
So she also has a question about Lakshman Phal. So she asks, will it be okay to take during chemotherapy? And since many say it's against to body and create allergy and something about Lakshman Phal. Would you like to throw
Okay.
some light?
Yeah, I think some days ago there was a major uproar about how Ram Phal, Lakshman Phal, all these can be cancer preventive, and a lot of vendors started selling it for like exorbitant prices. But there are no studies which support this statement that it is cancer protective. Now, as far as giving this fruit during chemotherapy, maybe because it's a uh, thick peel fruit, you can give the patient. But again, it's important to understand, where it is coming from and can it be cleaned. Even if the peel has got some pesticide residues, and because the peels are very porous in nature, it can actually get into the fruit. So think about it before you really want to give it. uh, from the cancer prevention perspective, it does not have any supporting evidence or research. So it is a fruit like any other fruit.
Thank you. And next set of questions, if we can move forward. Ms. Sumani asks, can we use olive oil for cooking? And does it suit Indian climate and Indian dishes? So that's the first part. There is another part which she asks, does reusing oil form cancer cells?
Uh, First question was about olive oil. Now, olive oil is again an oil which is not indigenous to India. Uh, so we are using Indian ingredients, and we are using a medium of cooking as uh, as olive oil. Number one is olive oil is a heat sensitive oil. It loses its qualities when you heat it up to higher temperatures. Instead, you can use olive oil to drizzle them onto your salads, or they can go on your sandwiches into dips. But do not heat olive oil, because it will definitely end up losing the qualities. You will not get the benefit out of olive oil. Uh, and since Indian cooking believes in tadkas and making a wakarne at the end of the meal, olive oil is not suitable per se to Indian conditions. If you're keen on using it, you should be using it raw and not heated up. That was to answer her first set of questions. The second set was about
It
I'm
was,
sorry.
can you reheat the oil? If you
Okay.
reheat the same oil, will it form cancer cells?
Okay, now trans fat is the word you're looking for. When you reheat the oil, the trans fats are formed in the food. So trans fats actually again are harmful as free radicals in the system, and also causes obesity, because you are eating a lot of calories. For example, if your evening snack regularly is something fried like a samosa or a bhaji or a bonda, then you're definitely consuming unnecessary calories, thereby risking obesity, which again predisposes you to development of many cancers, because you're not staying in your healthy BMI range. So that's the association here. Yeah, reheating of oil is not recommended.
Okay, thank you. So there's another question from Mr. Arul Shanmugam. He asks, will taking apple cider vinegar help in any way in preventing cancer or slowing down the spread of cancer in patients?
No, Mr. Arul, I just have to stick to a no here, because definitely there are no supporting research which is proved, or which has evidence saying apple cider vinegar is protective against cancer. It is a sweetener, or it is a another form of vinegar which are used in many bakery goods and other formulations. But no, Mr. Arul, it's not. I mean, the scientific research so far has not, supported this claim saying it is cancer.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is from Ananta Padmakar. He asks, can you expand 5 to 6 servings with respect to fruits? As in, he probably means to ask, can you have 5 to 6 servings of fruits, I think.
Okay. 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables is what we say. And a balanced meal, if you ask me, should come with both fruits and vegetables. What we can do, sir, here is, since we are sending a couple of other participants also, we can send you the serving sizes of each fruit, so that you can understand how much you are eating. Now, one thing about fruits is it comes with a lot of sucrose, fructose. So fructose is again a sugar. If you're a diabetic, or if you are trying to watch your weight, then there has to be some amount of vegetables also in terms of fiber. So why would you only eat fruit and avoid vegetables completely? Is doesn't it become a whole a balanced meal when you consume both fruits and vegetables? But we would definitely like to send you um, some pictures on what each fruit, and what is a serving size which differs from one fruit to another.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have the last question for the session. Ms.
Mhm.
Nirmala asks, is quinoa good? Is quinoa good for us?
Okay, now the good news is we have an alternative, an Indian alternative for quinoa, which is amaranth. Now the seeds and the leaves look very similar to our regular dantinus soppu, which we consume regularly. So these are the grains, and they come very close to the qualities of quinoa. Quinoa is high fiber, it's a cereal. So when there are alternatives like amaranth, ragi, with much more, benefits of health, why do you want to eat a food which was not indigenous, which we were not, using this food for a long time? I mean, our fathers and forefathers never ate quinoa, right? So what is it that you're trying to achieve here? Is it you're trying to eat a lot of fiber? Then we have umpteen number of cereals in our own country. You can try that. Uh, there's no harm in trying quinoa, or I'm not against quinoa, but you definitely get local alternatives which are not so expensive as quinoa. So look out for them, and you can probably your body feels more comfortable burning these foods which are known to them than trying a new food.
Okay. Thank you so much. So that comes to the end of our Q&A session and the end of the program. So I hope we have answered all your questions. If you still have some queries and some specific diet related questions, you can uh, look at the screens, and you can reach out to us and uh, take online consultations, which is available. So you can see the number on your screens right now. So we will be sending you across a simple questionnaire via Google Forms to your registered numbers. Please do fill them out. And we finally appreciate you for taking time and participating in this program. We have participants who have not only logged from here around Bangalore, but also from different parts of the country. We specially thank you. Thank you all the members of Prameya team for making this a success, and special thanks to the experts for this session. So don't forget to join us for our upcoming sessions on health, nutrition, and fitness. We are now open for free online consultations. So you can get in touch with us with the numbers flashing on your screens. Thank you all so much. Stay safe.